I'm a nutritionist. Food's more important, right? Like, I was like, okay, yeah, light, okay. But food is so important, you know? Food is the most important. Or is it? I don't know. So let's say you bought a new plant. You bought this beautiful plant from a nice nursery. There's no pesticides on it. You give it nice water. You have this nice soil that it's in with nutrients, and then you speak nicely to it, and then you lock it in a dark closet. Is it going to do well? What if we give it organic soil? What if we give it lots and lots of extra natural nutrients? Is it going to do well? No. So let's travel back to the beginning of life on Earth. Life on Earth began in our oceans. And light from the sun penetrates the ocean, and some of those frequencies start to get lost. They start to dissipate. They don't penetrate all the way down. The color of the light that penetrates deepest is blue, these blue frequencies. And so if you were a sea creature, this is where life began, brand new on Earth, you're a sea creature and you're swimming around these depths, it would be evolutionarily advantageous for you to have a receptor for this color of light. Because that color of light might tell you, oh, the predators are gone now. This is time where I can eat. So I'm out in this, okay, here's the light, and I can eat something, and I'm safer. And then once that blue light goes away, we have that darkness, and now it's time to hide. Or, vice versa, if these animals are hiding during the light time. It would also be evolutionarily advantageous of us to be able to predict when this light was coming, right? Like, oh, the blue light is almost here. That blue light's almost here. I got to get ready to hide, or I got to get ready to eat. So that was a trait that persisted. But we're humans, right? So what about humans? Throughout our entire human history, we lived outside. We were exposed to nature's light, bright days and darkness cycles, this almost complete absence of light at night. And as such, we developed receptors for light on our skin, in our eyes, in our mitochondria. They can all sense light. What type of light is most triggering, or what are these receptors sort of set up to receive? Shockingly enough, blue light. Same kind of spectrum here. So we get this blue light, and it tells our body what time it is. So our body has learned, coincidental or not, you make the connection, but our body has learned to tell time using blue light. So blue light is the primary signal or cue for our body, or Zeitgeber, to tell our body what time it is, to help us synchronize our internal clocks with the external world. I hear a lot of people say that, it's dark inside of our brains, right? We need to be able to receive that light as a signal. But why does our body need to know what time it is? So I learned this concept, and I was like, okay, our body needs to know what time it is. It doesn't sound glamorous. It doesn't sound important. But I like to give this example. Let's say you're taking a nap, and it's a real long nap, and you wake up like 3 hours later, and you're totally disoriented, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where I am. I don't know what time it is. I don't know who I am. You have that moment, right? Has everyone experienced a little something like that? What's the first thing you do? The first thing you do is say, oh, where am I? What time is it? You try to orient yourself, right? So why? Why is that the very first thing that all of us try to do? It's important to know what time it is so we know what to do. It's 9 o'clock, that's why you guys are all here. If you didn't know it was 9 o'clock on Friday, May 31st, you would not be in this room, right? Why am I not putting on my pajamas right now, washing my face, and getting ready for bed? Because it's not 9 p.m., it's 9 a.m. Why am I not, going and grabbing the Christmas decorations right now and putting them up? Because it's not time for that. So it's important that we know what time it is. When we don't know what time it is, can't you imagine that it would be stressful? Because you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, do I go to this meeting? Do I go to work? Do I go to sleep? We need to know what time it is. Our body is no different. Our body needs to know what time it is, and we also need to have something keeping track of when to do certain things as well. So we can't just do everything at once. We have to have some order to this chaos. And just like an airport has a control tower, in our brain, we also have something called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's part of the hypothalamus. Not really that important, but for you to remember those words. But that is like that control tower in our brain that's keeping track of here's what to do and when to do it. Because we can't do everything all at once. We need to have some order to this. So that suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, receives light signals from the body and tells the body what to do. So we are built to do certain things better at certain times. So during the day, for example, we're better at digesting and metabolizing food. We're better at going out and hunting for food. We have more energy. We have more cognitive power. In the evening, we're way better at sleeping, detoxifying, repairing. So there's different times of the day where we're better at doing certain things. If I had to give this presentation at 9 p.m., it would not go the same. My brain wouldn't be on. It's just we're not set up for that. So what I'm describing, some of you might realize, is part of what we talk about as the circadian rhythm. Have people heard this term before, circadian rhythm? And is anyone a little kind of confused? Like, okay, I kind of know what it is. Anyone a little confused about it? Everyone knows what it is? Okay, great. So this, I didn't know what it was. So in case you didn't want to raise your hand, I did not know. I didn't really understand what a circadian rhythm was and why it was so important. I just kind of hear it now. But okay, so the circadian rhythm is kind of like this body clock, and it does regulate our sleep and wake cycle. It repeats roughly every 24 hours because we live on a planet with a 24-hour day. If we lived on Neptune, it would maybe be a 16-hour circadian rhythm. But it's not just our sleep-wake cycle. Our circadian rhythm is not just about that piece. It's also every single cell, organ, and process in our body has this circadian rhythm. We have these internal mini body clocks in every cell because maintaining these rhythms so that genes turn on and off at the right time, so that hormones are released at the right time, at the right amount, this is paramount to our health. So here's just an image that I got literally from Wikipedia when you Google what is the circadian rhythm, and it's just showing what human beings are either doing at a certain time or certain aspects. So when our body temperature is lowest versus highest, when our blood pressure is highest, when certain hormones are being secreted, when we have the best coordination, things like that. This is just a little sprinkling of some of the things that our bodies need to do. Our bodies do hundreds of thousands of tasks in every single cell at every second. We do so many things going on inside that we don't even know about. And so this is just another picture to show that we get the signal from the blue light, it goes in, hits the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain, and then the information gets sent to these peripheral clocks, like in the liver, pancreas, adipose tissue, and things like insulin, glucose, leptin. All of these things have a circadian timing. So it's not just like, oh, we can do this at whatever time we want. Our modern society is we've shifted this time. We're divorced from the signals of nature because we have lights and technology. So what controls the circadian rhythm? As I mentioned, light controls it, and the absence of light is a huge signaler to our body. That's the primary signaler of what to do. And also meal timing. But why meal timing? Well, food contains light information. I want you to think about food as containing the barcode of light in your environment at that time. So it's information for our body. Ideally, we want the outside to match what's coming in the inside. So in this presentation, we are going to learn how to optimize and sync with nature so at key times during the day and night to help our metabolic health and overall health. So first off, I'm not affiliated with them, but a huge fan of the app Circadian Life or Circadian. You can download this app and know exactly when all these time periods of the day are happening in your location. So the first light to appear in the morning is daybreak, and it is loaded with infrared light. You might have heard of infrared light from devices like this, but there's loads of infrared light in the sun. It makes up about 49% of the sun's rays. It's present in sunlight all times of the day, all year round. There's loads of benefits to infrared light, one of which includes lowering glucose levels. How does it do this? It causes our mitochondria to be more efficient at burning glucose, so it lowers our glucose levels. It also helps to build subcellular melatonin. Melatonin, we know, is very important for sleep. So, quiz, does anyone know how much melatonin we make during the day versus at night? Amy's smiling because I asked her this question yesterday. Any guesses out there? How much do we make during the day versus at night? Anyone want to be brave? No? Okay, so we make about 95% of our melatonin during the day. 95. That's huge, and we make it from this light. Very, very important. Red light is also very present in this daybreak morning light in high quantities, and it's similar benefits to infrared, but more benefits on sort of the surface. So it helps with anti-aging, hair growth, reducing signs of aging, building collagen. And so if you want all the benefits of a red light therapy panel for free, you can stand out in this morning light and expose as much of your skin as you can, and we also want to have naked eyes. So we don't want to be seeing it through a window, glasses, contacts, things like that. So when the sun rises, this is when blue light is present in sufficient amounts to start triggering, to turn on that circadian rhythm. We talked about the importance of that blue light. So that blue light tells our body to gently start turning on cortisol production. Very, very important, so we can feel awake. Cortisol also opposes melatonin, so melatonin will drop, and so we don't have this grogginess throughout the morning. It also tells the body to produce pregnenolone, which is a precursor, yes, to cortisol, but also to our sex hormones. Anyone in here struggling with their hormone balance? Yeah, I have people laughing. Yes, so that it's very, very important that we get this signal, and it's also important to note that there is still loads of infrared and red light at this time, which is very, very healing. And in nature, the blue light that we talked about never appears without red and infrared. So those two systems, they call them coupled. Like the blue always comes with red. That's just an important thing to keep in mind. So what we want to do is see this morning sunlight, and that will turn on our cortisol gradually, like a little drip out of a faucet. But instead, what many of us do is open our phone, and the body's like, it's 11 a.m., or we open the fridge, or we turn on a light, and the body's like, oh my gosh, it's 2 p.m., and it's a gush of cortisol. And we wonder why we have such jacked up cortisol levels, which also drives high blood sugar. Anyone have high fasting blood sugar in the morning? That would be a huge cause of that. I had a client who started seeing sunrise religiously for 2 weeks, and her fasting blood sugar, which we could not get down after working together for 8 months, it was like a 104, went to 83, a perfect 83, after seeing sunrise for 2 weeks. That's how fast it worked, because all that red light is helping the mitochondria, and it's causing a gradual rise of cortisol. So we want to get this sunrise as the first light in our eyes. We also want to use orange lens blue blocking glasses if we can't have that light. So let's say the sun is rising way later and you're already up, you need to get the kids to school, orange lens blue blocking glasses. You also want to, even if it's cloudy, rainy, if the best you can do is crack a window. This is such a powerful practice for our health. So I want you all to know what time sun is rising and get up and look at that sunrise getting outside. So, so powerful. I also want to talk about meal timing, because a lot of people, anyone intermittent fast in here? And the way you intermittent fast, is it skipping breakfast? Anyone? Breakfast skippers? Okay, so especially for women, because we don't get as much flexibility as men, but what I often see is that it's not if you'll have a plateau or if this will stop helping you, it's a matter of when. That's what I see in my practice. that skipping breakfast almost always leads to this plateau. It leads to increased weight gain. It leads to increased blood sugar and cortisol levels because it's causing us to be running on cortisol all morning. So we already have enough stressors, right? We already have enough stress. And so the other piece of this is that we are much more insulin sensitive earlier in the day as opposed to later in the day. So this is that circadian piece coming back around. We are better at digesting and metabolizing our food earlier in the day. Also, if you skip breakfast, research shows that your blood sugar response to your subsequent meals will be higher. So that also causes us to be eating later in the day. So then we're having our first meal at 12, and then our next meal maybe at 7 o'clock, and these are big, giant meals. So eating right before bed, I have my best friend Molly Eastman here, sleep expert. She will concur that eating right before bed is not going to be good for our sleep, and anything that's going to disrupt our sleep is also going to disrupt our metabolic health. So pro tips, try eating breakfast outside to get benefit from all that red light within an hour of sunrise. You may not be hungry at first. And you can gradually move breakfast earlier. You don't have to do it by tomorrow, okay? So if you're like, oh God, I eat at 1, like there's no way I can eat at 7. Yeah, there isn't. So just do 12 and then do 11:30. So go gradually, give yourself time. But this is going to be really powerful to help bring that eating window earlier in the time where we're better set up to digest and metabolize. And then we want to have coffee after breakfast. I know this is a big ask for a lot of people. Some people are like, are you kidding me? I just want to wake up and have my coffee. But what is that going to do? What is it going to raise? It's going to raise our cortisol. It's going to raise our stress hormones, epinephrine, which drives insulin resistance. So there's studies showing that if we have the coffee, even with breakfast, but I like after breakfast, I use it as my reward for eating breakfast, and it's amazing because sometimes I eat my breakfast and I'm like, oh my God, I get to have coffee now. Like, you just forget, and it's like, yay, I did it. So, but even doing that, having the coffee with breakfast or after breakfast, it's going to reduce the impact of the stress hormones, which will help our metabolic health. So, again, if you don't have an appetite in the morning, seeing this blue light, getting that blue light from the sun in your eyes, it's going to start triggering your body to have all these correct hormones that they're producing, and it will trigger hunger hormones eventually. Give it about 3 weeks. It took me about 3 weeks. I had to stop having my coffee first. I waited a little bit, and sometimes I go outside in the morning like, it's going to be a rough morning to have breakfast. Sure enough, I'm staring at the sky. Please don't stare into the sun. Staring at the sky, and all of a sudden, boom, my appetite comes on. I'm like, yes, it worked. So it's really cool. And then if you want to intermittent fast, I'm not saying don't intermittent fast. I'm saying skip dinner instead of breakfast, okay? All right. This is an amazing time of day that I freaked out about when I learned about because I think it is so, so cool, so powerful. So when the sun is between 10 to 30 degrees off the horizon, we're going to get UVA light that predominates. And so this light is extremely incredible with all the benefits, but it stimulates this peptide called POMC, which breaks down into all these little chunks and does all these amazing things. So POMC produces a peptide called beta endorphin. Everyone's heard of endorphins? So you get like a runner's high from being in the sun. It produces ACTH, which regulates stress, inflammation, cortisol, and androgen production, so more hormone support. It also starts to produce melanin, and melanin acts like a natural sunscreen. Melanin is a really cool, amazing molecule that has neuroprotective properties. It regulates our appetite. That would be nice, right? It also helps with fat burning, which is awesome. It supports detoxification. It binds with heavy metals. Okay, yeah, I'll take some of this, right? It sounds pretty good. And there's more benefits. So getting this light in your eyes and on your skin, especially if we get it right on the thyroid. We have a thyroid expert, Amy Horniman, right here. It helps to produce T3 and T4. Like, unbelievable, right? So we get this metabolic boost in the morning. It also, anyone struggle with seasonal affective disorder, depression, anxiety, we get the conversion of the amino acids into serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and and again, those endorphins. So we feel so good. We feel motivated. We feel energized. We feel ready to take on the day. When people are on depression meds, when are they supposed to take them? In the morning. When people are on thyroid meds, when are they supposed to take them? In the morning. Or I'll take questions later, hold that, yeah. It's really powerful to get out into this free sunlight that makes you feel so good and could honestly make you feel addicted to it. You feel so amazing. Wouldn't it be amazing to be addicted to something like the sun instead of this? I think so. I struggle with that too. So pro tip, we want to get UVA light on your skin and on your neck every single morning. So to combine all these hacks, we want to start with sunrise, then we eat breakfast, then we have coffee, and then after that breakfast meal, what are we going to do? Go on a walk in UVA light, a postprandial walk, post-meal walk to get that glucose down, but also to get this light on our skin. So that feels, even just this piece, feels so, when I think of it, I feel so much ease, I feel so much joy, this beautiful, peaceful morning light connecting with nature. This doesn't feel like intermittent fast and just have a coffee for breakfast. Like, I feel like we're trying so hard. And this feels to me like, oh, wow, I'm listening to the birds. I feel so peaceful. It's a different feeling. And it's been a really beautiful, honestly, spiritual connection that I've felt with the sun. I might start crying. But with the sun and with nature, because it's so incredible to witness these benefits and feel them in your body. So let's talk about UVA, the most demonized and the most demonized and misunderstood light. This light is not available all year round. This is the light that helps us produce vitamin D, and this is more in summer months and things like that, closer to the equator. And when this light hits our skin, it makes vitamin D, which is essential for optimal blood sugar regulation, insulin sensitivity, our immune system, and so many more things. And there's so many metabolites of vitamin D. There's something like 15 metabolites. What we're measuring in our blood is what's called storage D, just what's in storage. We are not measuring the active form. We're not measuring these metabolites. And so it's not able to be replaced. Like, listen to all these benefits I've already told you about the sun. Does this feel like something you can get from one vitamin D pill? Probably not. So there's different metabolites that help to produce bile acids, extremely important for digesting fat, which helps us to stabilize our blood sugar, have a lot of good energy. And then it also has a profound impact on metabolism, obesity, thyroid function. And then we have these other metabolites that help to prevent vitamin D toxicity, which is very possible from taking supplements. But UVB is more than just vitamin D. When this light hits our skin, it changes our microbial diversity in our gut. We know that more diverse gut microbes leads to a healthier human being. And it also changes the gut bacteria to be better able to break down simple sugars so that we can digest and metabolize the fruits and things that would be present in the environment when that type of light is present. So is it appropriate for someone who lives in Costa Rica to be eating a papaya where it was grown right in the next yard? Yeah, maybe they would do better with that. Way better than if someone was in Boston eating that papaya in the dead of winter. It probably wouldn't go well. There's a big mismatch of what the light is saying. So a pro tip, and this one I have not mastered yet. I don't want anyone, this one kind of makes me a little anxious because I'm like, oh God, this feels hard. It is hard because we go into the grocery store and you see every fruit and vegetable under the sun, and it's like, oh, this one's grown in Mexico, this one's grown in Peru, this one's in Chile, this one's in California. I'm like, well, I'm in Texas, So this is hard, and I want you to just start looking at labels and being like, oh, well, this one's grown in California and this one's grown in Mexico. I'm closer to California. Like, we can baby step it into this and start going to farmers markets and start getting familiar with, just Google, what's growing in my area right now? And what you may find if you live in Canada in the middle of December, you're not going to find a ton of stuff. So maybe that would be a better time for our bodies to be in a state of nutritional ketosis or leaning more into a carnivore type style animal-based way of eating. Maybe we have some preserved foods. but this is where we want to change with the seasons. We've made everything available all year round, and it's really throwing us off. So we really want to aim for to have this local seasonal as much as possible, growing our own food. I don't do this. So I'm giving you ideas. I'm not telling you everything you have to do. All right? So there's more benefits. UVB light reduces the risk of cancer. As you can see, melanoma has increased even though we've reduced our time in the sun. It boosts the immune system, makes more melanin, creates free electrons, which is free energy to the body, reduces appetite, improves fat burning. Heck yeah. You ever notice a day at the beach you don't feel quite so hungry? And in my opinion, everyone looks great with a tan. So, so smart sun exposure. If we're in here all day, and one thing you might want to know, you can just Google what's called the Fitzpatrick score. So what is your Fitzpatrick score? Mine is about a 2 or a 3 because I have paler skin. The darker your skin, the higher on the Fitzpatrick score, the more time you need out in the sun because you have more melanin, which is that natural sunscreen. So the darker your skin, ideally the closer you live to the equator, that's where we were on Earth, and the further north you go, ideally the lighter your skin because there's not as much UVB light. So if you're in a mismatch for your environment, you just need to work a little bit harder. So the idea is we do not want to burn. I am not saying go outside at 12 o'clock in Texas with super pale skin and just fry yourself. That is not what I'm saying, okay? Everyone got that? We want to start consuming the sun as this full spectrum. So I talked about the healing benefits of red and infrared, prepping our skin to get this harsher UVB. I talked about UVA, making melanin. Oh, it's making that sunscreen for me already. Then we start to get more and more UVB as it starts to be more present in our environment. And we slowly build what's called a solar callus, AKA a tan. And this protects us from getting burned. So now when I'm outside, I can be outside in Texas for several hours in the middle of the day. I do not need sunscreen, and I do not burn anymore. So you get to the point where you have the natural sunscreen inside of you. You can cover your face, you can put on hats, you can go in shade. Like, you want to listen to your body. You don't want to be burned. And so we also don't want to use sunglasses. Like, if you take away one thing, please try to stop using sunglasses, because the sunglasses, I mean, I'm talking about all these benefits of light. And then we walk outside and we're like, nope, not today. And so we're not getting the light, and then we're putting sunscreen on. Sunscreen blocks the vitamin D conversion. So then we don't get any of these benefits, hardly any of them. Okay, so I'm not saying don't use sunscreen if you have to. You know, you get to that point, please use a mineral-based, not these other chemical-based sunscreens. Really, really important. We need this very bright light during the day. Okay, so before sunset, this is when we really want to think about having our last meal. I always say when the sun goes down, insulin clocks out. My blood sugar on a CGM, if I eat something late, forget it. I could eat the same meal for breakfast, have a little blip on the radar. I eat the same thing in the evening. If it's after sunset, my blood sugar goes up, and it stays up, and there's multiple peaks. It's like insulin just completely clocked out on me. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to help you there. So that is really, really powerful, and we want to avoid these spikes because this is going to, insulin opposes a very important hormone that you guys are going to start hearing more about called leptin. Leptin is created in our fat cells. It regulates our appetite and our hunger, but so much more. It gives the hypothalamus a nightly report. So leptin's going to go up to the hypothalamus in the brain, that control tower, and say, okay, it's between 12 and 2 a.m. It's going to be like, okay, Danny has this much stored fat, this much stored energy in her liver, in her muscles, and you know what? It's a little excess. So tomorrow, feel free. I want you to lower her appetite. I want you to burn through some of this extra fat. We're good. But what if leptin can't make that communication? The brain's going to be like, oh my God, leptin was not here. Danny's obviously starving, so we need to raise her appetite, probably increase her anxiety so she goes out and gets food, and do not touch that body fat because we need that. There's a famine. So what prevents leptin from docking to the hypothalamus? Insulin and cortisol. Those are two things. And what raises cortisol again? I forget. Light, okay? Very, very important. Light can prevent leptin from docking, making us think we're starving, and it will prevent us from burning our body fat. So we want to eat our last meal before sunrise, at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. I personally do great with like a 3 o'clock dinner on some nights, like nice and early before bed. And that's not a beginner step. If you're like, I never fast before, don't do that yet. Work your way there. Sunset, not quite as important as sunrise, but still loads of benefit. Great after a day at the beach because, again, it's like the giant red light therapy panel, healing, soothing, reversing damage done to our skin from the sun. And remember it's a good time to start bringing in some down-regulating activities so we can get ready for sleep. This would be a good time to close the laptops, get a fiction book, sit outside, watch the sunset, try to avoid the mosquitoes, all those kind of things. And then the mosquitoes have been killing me. So in our history, when the sun went down, we experienced almost total darkness and the absence of blue light. No more blue light in our environment. So that darkness is that important signal. We did have some light, however. We had fire. Orange, amber hues, red hues, these did not interfere with sleep, and there's no significant impact to our circadian rhythm from this light. But that's not what this is not what's lighting up our houses at night anymore, is it? No. We have blue light. So this is the sun's light. It's very, it's like I said, the blue is there, and there's always red, and there's infrared, which we can't see. Then again, at sunrise and sunset, incandescent light bulbs kind of mimic this as well. Low blue, high red, and infrared. But our light bulbs now, these incandescent bulbs, very hard to be found anymore, if you guys have noticed that. They're trying to ban them because of energy efficiency. And so we get huge peaks of blue. This is not going to be good for our eyes. This over here is from an actual computer. So you can see, I know I'm standing in the way, I'll move. But this big peak, this is actually from the computer. So you can see this is the spectrum that the blue light, that's why you hear like blue light, blue light. It's a white light bulb. So why are we saying blue, right? Did that ever confuse anyone? So it's because there's these high peaks of blue. Look at the red. Almost nothing. It's not helping that balance. It's not helping with I'm going to use up the glucose better. I'm going to lower the cortisol better. It's like, boom, cortisol, blood sugar, insulin. This light raises those things. And this is a fluorescent lamp. Very unnatural to our biology, okay? And that's why these yellow lenses are great for during the day because they cut off this big peak right here, but still keep some of that blue, which help us know it's daytime. I need to be doing daytime things. We don't want to put on the orange ones too early or we will start falling asleep. Okay, our light environment has also changed. And this is huge because it's like, why are lights such a big thing now? Well, first of all, we're addicted to these, myself included. Hate it. And then this is how the lighting used to look. There's the full house, Home Alone house, And this is how this reminds me of my childhood, right? But now it looks like this. It's so bright. It's so white. These LED Christmas lights. Oh my gosh. And devices really late into the night. And it's so much blue light. And the blue light is telling us it's daytime. And we're supposed to be doing nighttime stuff. And blue light, even in the absence of food, raises our blood sugar and our insulin. So you can be eating the perfect diet and sabotaging yourself by flicking on a light at night. It's incredible. So the blue light raises cortisol, blocks melatonin, it blocks leptin docking, and studies are linking blue light at night with diabetes, obesity, metabolic disorders, insomnia, cancer, so many things. There's so many studies on this. And even a tiny amount of light has a very big impact. So a study showed that those sleeping in rooms with more than 3 lux, I'll tell you what that is in a second, tended to have higher body weight, BMI, waist circumference, triglycerides. So the moon, we think it's kind of bright, but it's only 1 lux. And our daytime, very, very bright. But inside of things like a hospital theater, like a surgery room, that's like the brightest you're going to get inside. But our days are too dim indoors, but way too bright at night. And they're not bright enough. during the day. And then we're brightening up. There's just such a mismatch there. So at night, when the sun goes down, we want to turn off overhead lighting. We want to switch to orange, amber, or red lights, or candles, or Himalayan salt lamps. We want to use non-blue LED lights, but make sure they're not overhead, because we have those receptors for the lights from overhead because we evolved with the sun. For computers, Iris software. Feel free to take a picture of this. Iris software, F-Lux. For iPhones, let's see if I go 1, 2, 3, it turns it red, so you can set that up on your phone. There's apps for that, so we want to block this blue light, and then blue blocking glasses. So we want to make sure that we're using orange lens blue blocking glasses when the sun goes down. These blue blockers, if you wear them 2 to 3 hours before bed, for 1 month, there was a statistically significant improvement in fasting blood sugar and HOMA-IR, which is a measure of insulin resistance. So just 2 to 3 hours before bed, and we're going to wear them potentially a little bit longer, for 1 month showed that much of an improvement. I have so many clients who have better fasting glucose scores from wearing these glasses. And if you want the red ones right before bed, an hour before bed, this feels so good. I wish you guys could experience this. This red one, it dims it as well. So think about this as the firelight, right? We're looking at fire. It's orange. There's some brightness to it. And then at the end of the fire, it glows down to these burning red embers, right? Very dim light. It's very calming in here, you guys. Very calming, very soothing. And if you put these on too soon, you may fall asleep too soon. So about an hour or half an hour before bed, you can do the red ones. All right, so here's the summary. Feel free to take a picture of this. This is basically everything we talked about. And ideally, one thing I did not talk about is EMFs, but I'm just going to throw this in. Turn off your Wi-Fi at night. No devices plugged in the bedroom. EMFs are like an invisible form of light that are disrupting all of this too. We don't have time for all that. But as you can see, it's not just food. It's not just the food. It's not just the movement. We have to pay attention to our light environment, to the timing of our food, to where our food is coming from. So I know I'm adding some extra things, but I guarantee these things are going to make you feel so, so good and make it a little easier, because I know you guys are working so hard. And plus, you're going to get all these endorphins, you're going to get serotonin and dopamine, and you're going to feel amazing on this journey, as we should, because so many of us are waiting to get there to feel good. We're waiting to get there to love our bodies. Ooh, I'm going to cry. Because this is me. So if we can enjoy the journey a little more, imagine how good that feels, because we can't shame ourselves into health. We have to love ourselves into health. And when we understand that we are nature, we're connected to, we are made of the same stuff as nature. And when we're in nature and we feel this deep connection, like I am made of the same stuff in these trees and in the soil, and look at all this free medicine. It's really, really powerful. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys want, feel free to take another picture. These are my favorite things. So all these things that I'm showing you, these are Viva Rays. Huge fan of these glasses. I have a lot of red lights linked and things like that. So you can go to this guide. And then also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I have a low-price membership. If you want to come talk about these things, ask questions, get help, like, what do I do in winter when the sun is rising so late? Or what about now when it's rising so early? So thank you, guys. I'll take do I have time for questions? Yeah, a couple of minutes. Yes?
Quick question. If it's cloudy in the morning, do you still get UV light?
Yes. Yes, you do. That's a great question. So if it's cloudy, you're still going to get, the clouds impact the UVB the most. So you will notice there's an app, I don't think I said this, called D-Minder, and that will tell you what the UV index is. But yes, getting outside in the clouds. Like, I've been struggling with some personal stuff and mental health things and feeling a little more anxious and depressed. And then I live here in Austin, and I just moved here from Florida, the Sunshine State. And so it's been cloudy every single morning, and I'm like, it's killing my mood. Like, I have no motivation to do anything. And I realize I have to get outside in the clouds, and nothing helps more when it's raining. Like, take a walk. What would the dog want to do? They would want to get outside in the weather. So the idea is you don't have to move to the tropics to heal, but you have to be willing to get outside in your environment as often as you can. Like this morning, thunderstorms, this was like the first time, and I can't even tell you how long, that I didn't get outside. But I cracked the window facing east, so at least I got a little bit of light, and my body is now very synced to this, very used to it, so I don't have to be out there forever. A common question I get is, how long do I need to be outside in this sunlight to heal? So I will say there's no specific amount of time, but the more you have to heal, the more dysregulated you are, the more time you will need outside. And then a lot of people are like, well, Danny, I did 5 minutes at sunrise, and I did 10 minutes at UVA, and I did a half an hour in the middle of the day. So, okay, you did an hour. So how many hours were you inside? Oh, 23 hours inside and 1 hour outside. And they go, is that enough? I mean, that's where I just like to flip it. It's like, gosh, now this becomes this mental game of, what can I do outside? Maybe I could take this call outside. Maybe I can stay outside longer with my dog. Maybe I can take my computer outside. Maybe I can just crack a window. So start thinking about, when can we get outside? Can I prioritize this? Can I get uncomfortable? Oh, I'm going to start sweating a little. Yep, I'm going to start sweating. Wear a bathing suit, wear a tank top. Embrace these, like, we didn't talk about the cold and the heat, but those things are amazing too. Yes, question? Yes. Grounding is phenomenal. So I didn't talk about the way we get energy. So when food, this is going somewhere, this is related. When food breaks down, we think, oh, it breaks down to carbs, fats, and proteins. Well, it breaks down further to electrons. Electrons, if we remember back to like 8th grade chemistry, go down the electron transport chain and produce ATP and cellular water, but those are our energy sources, right? So foods break down to electrons, give us energy. When we step on the earth or touch a plant with bare skin, we also instantly start soaking up electrons. And when UV light hits our skin, we create electrons. When we move our body through piezoelectricity, we create electrons. So we shouldn't just get energy from food. We should get about 1/3 of our energy from food and the rest from the sun and grounding. Grounding is very anti-inflammatory. It's very energizing. And it does take time. You're not going to like step on the ground and be like, whoa, I feel it. It's not like that. I wish it were. But it builds up over time. So when you're out for sunrise, can you just have bare feet on the earth? If there's ants, if there's, you can't. Can you touch a plant, like a leaf of something that's growing in the ground? It could be that simple. Even if you live in a city, a metal pole that is rooted into the ground, standing on cement, all of those things are conductive. So we can ground through that as well, and it's also helpful for EMF mitigation. So thank you, great question. Do I have any more time? No. Okay. I will be outside. Thank you so much, guys, for being here.